Let's begin our session on Israel's return to the disputed land with the review of the key points on this slide. The birth of Israel is indeed a miracle, and Israel's survival as a nation is even a greater miracle. Muslim nations are trying to destroy Israel, and the land for peace deals between Israel and the PLO have failed so far. The blood feud between the Jews and Arabs will continue until the return of Christ. Now let's take a look at the map on this slide for the regional demarcation lines that were established for the land of Israel after the 1948-1949 war between Israel and the 7 surrounding Arab states. Aware that 7 Arab states under the leadership of former German Nazi and British officers were about to attack them, the Jews of Palestine declared the establishment of the State of Israel on May 14, 1948 at 4 p.m. The 650,000 members of the Jewish community in Palestine were thrilled at the possibility of establishing the first Jewish state in more than 1,800 years. Now, these same Jewish people anguished over the fact that 7 Arab armies were preparing to attempt to slaughter them in an effort to murder the Jewish state in the birth canal. This momentous occasion had been recorded by the pen of the prophet Isaiah, saying, "A nation shall be born in a day." It's Isaiah 66:8. Now, God did it just as he promised. It was the greatest moment in prophetic history of the 20th century. It was living evidence for all men to see that the God of Israel was alive and well. He has returned his chosen people to the promised land. It also marked the beginning of the end of the current age. And I recommend you get a copy of Hal Lindsey's excellent video titled 1948, The Year the End Began, for details of numerous other significant events that took place across the world in 1948. In 1948, U.S. President Harry S. Truman was one of the first world leaders to recognize the State of Israel. He did this in spite of our State Department recommending he not do so, for fear that America might offend Arab oil-producing nations. Now, years after the State of Israel was founded, former Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion met with President Truman, and Ben-Gurion noted, "I told him his courageous decision to recognize our new state so quickly, and his steadfast support since then had given him an immortal place in Jewish history." As I said that, tears suddenly came to his eyes, and his eyes were still wet when he bade me goodbye. Later, a correspondent came up to ask me, why was the president in tears when he left you? Well, history records that Harry Truman was a man of utmost integrity and highly principled. His word was his bond. He was a fierce political competitor whose fiery rhetoric in the campaign against Thomas Dewey for the office of President of the United States in 1948 was labeled, "Give 'em hell, Harry." And his response was, "I don't have to give them hell, I just tell the truth and it sounds like hell." Raised in a Bible-believing, Zionist-supportive home, Truman helped various Jewish family immigrants to come to America and escape the World War II Holocaust. When the hour came for God to breathe life into a Zionist state that had laid dead for nearly 2,000 years, the Almighty had a man of honor and integrity in the White House, courageous enough to ignore the political experts around him and to recognize the State of Israel. And may God bless the soul and sacred memory of Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President of the United States of America. President Truman's actions once again remind us of the promises God set forth in Genesis 12:3. "And I will bless those who bless you, and I'll curse those who curse you." We need to continue to pray that our country will never cease supporting the nation of Israel. The U.S. is the only nation in the world today that Israel can count on as an ally. Well, now, before we move on to our next slide, are there any questions?